Hey, ghoul friends. No, 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 never let me say that again. Cringe. Welcome back to the dark side of the internet. If you don't know me, my name is Fekete-Mustafa, and I am partial owner with my sister of Gothic Hippies Makeup Boutique. I like to play around with makeup. Obviously, I made a whole brand and yeah. I love to play around with makeup and tell some spooky, true, and probably in the future untrue stories, but just for fun. We'll always let you know if they are true or not true. Today's story is true, and it's really gross, so viewers' discretion is advised. If you like to watch people do their makeup while telling you some stories, then I may just be that for you. So yeah, subscribe and click the like button and we can be friends. Just over here looking for my spooky posse. This is about one of the most terrifying but lesser known serial killers in America. The reason why this case has not been talked about much is because his crimes took place in Alaska, far from major media centers. He didn't have a celebrity persona like Bundy or Gacy. His case only got significant attention after an investigation in 1983. By then, many of his crimes were already cold. This story is about Robert Hansen, the butcher baker. And these crimes took place in Anchorage, Alaska between the dates of 1971 and 1983. That is 12 years of wait till you hear the kind of things that Robert had done. You guys are just gonna freak. Estimated victims 17 to 20 plus. So let's get in just a little bit to Robert Hansen's background, just so we can kind of see who he was before all of this crazy stuff took place. Robert was born February 15th, 1939 in Estherville, Iowa. Estherville. He grew up shy, awkward, and severely bullied. He had a stutter and he had some really bad acne that left scars on his face. But a lot of people do. A lot of people are a lot of these things and they don't go around, killing people. His father, a Danish immigrant and a strict disciplinarian. Is that right? Disciplinarian? It sounds weird. Well, he owned a bakery where Hansen worked long hours. Ooh. The butcher baker. Robert developed early feelings of rejection and hatred towards women, particularly attractive ones, whom he saw as unattainable. But wait, this is what I don't understand. So he's saying, the more attractive ones. So you're judging, Robert. That's bullying too. So you're just saying I don't know. So you're thinking that all these women, shut you down because you weren't attractive, but you're literally defining women by their appearance also. So wouldn't you think that's kind of a human natural thing to do? I understand that people should be kinder, but what you did was not kind, and two wrongs do not make a right, and especially you're wrong. Well, Robert turned to hunting. He became an expert huntsman and marksman, skills he would later use in his killings. So all of that kind of brings us to his early criminal behavior. In 1960, at just the age of 21 years old, Robert was arrested for burning down a school bus garage. Being revengeful for not being popular in high school. That's normal. diagnosed with infantile personality, and he was sent to a reformatory. And he was treated for mental illness, which, he probably should have kept going. So he ended up finding somebody and got married and moved to Anchorage. That's in Alaska, and that was in 1967. And there his petty little crimes escalated. Theft, assault, fraud, and attempted abduction. But he was often given light sentences and released early. You know, abduction, no big deal. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that all of the products will be listed in the description if you're wondering what anything is that I'm using. So, Hansen targeted sex workers, runaways, and like dancers. People that Hansen didn't think society would care about. He lured them in with the promises of money or modeling gigs. Hey girl, you're so pretty. You can totally be a model. What a pig. Many were picked up at Anchorage's seedy 4th Avenue strip. And let me tell you, once he gained that control, all of the horrors began. So yeah, he was hunting these girls from the get-go, but that's not the hunting part that was the most disturbing and the most nauseating, stomach churning. He hunted them for real, like hunted them like animals, legit like a game. He hunted them and killed them that way. So let's go on into those things. Viewers' discretion definitely advised. Hansen had a private plane and would fly his victims to remote areas in Alaska. Normally near the Nick River, the Mananuska. I know I'm probably butchering this, but Nananuska, Susitna, Susitna Valley? Ooh. Forgive me for that. Those words were hard. So what he would do was release these victims into the wilderness, naked and barefoot, and let them run for game. And he would literally hunt them. He would hunt them. That's so scary. He would be using a rifle, and in some cases, you guys, a bow and arrow. Imagine what these victims went through. There's no way. That is so horrifying. What's crazy, you guys, is that I feel like there were movies that were like this. If you know what movies, I can't think of one, but I know that I have seen something along these lines. Like, if you know what I'm talking about and you know what movie, post those in the comments because it's gonna drive me nuts. Like, I know, like, maybe, like, The Hills Have Eyes, but no, that's not what I'm thinking of. Even though that one was disturbing and disgusting, just like the story. It's like more of like a realistic scary movie, and I think that's, I don't know what it was. Help me. Help me. He also, like many serial killers do, is he took trophies like women's jewelry from, and their like IDs and things like that. And he would store those in like a small attic space inside of his house, like the weirdo that he was. No, Robert, your acne and your stutter did not make you a weirdo. This makes you a weirdo. This kind of stuff. Okay? You went too far. Way too far. He buried bodies in shallow graves, and sometimes he just left the bodies for the elements. He's like, yeah, whatever, I'm tired after all of this running around. So gross. Ugh. Hunting is so exhausted. Hunting is so tiring. Like, I'm just gonna go home and sleep and enjoy my life. Like, it's totally okay I did that. That girl probably wouldn't have liked me. She probably would have turned me down, probably. Probably. So I had to hunt her down and kill her. The logic is, there's no logic. None whatsoever. Over time, he even drew out a hand-drawn map with 24 X's on it. X marks the spot to where he left the victims' bodies. Okay, and that's until he met Cindy, okay? Like, I don't know why a lot of these stories I'm doing, there's a lot of Cindys in them. Cindy Pollson was not a woman to be reckoned with, okay? It's just like one little moment that you change in order to just like change everything. So in June of 1983, 17-year-old Cindy Pollson, a sex worker, she had told police that she had been raped after escaping, which I'm going to go into a little more detail with you in a moment. She was chained by the neck, and she was taken to a small airport hangar where he tried to load her into the plane. Nope. Robert made a mistake and got distracted, which was great for Cindy, and she fled and waved down a driver on the road. Now let's get into more details. And more makeup. I'm sorry, I just get really into it. So let's rewind to June 13th, 1983, the night it began. Well, that night, Robert approached Cindy in his car. He looked normal, balding, a slight stutter, pretty well kept. He offered $200 for oral sex, which was a lot for a teenager, I guess. That's crazy. Oh, these poor girls. That honestly has to be the most horrible occupation, if you want to call it occupation, work, let's call it work, in the world. Like, that's just, it's not cute. It's, ugh. I know people feel like they have to do what they have to do, but I'm just saying I feel bad that they have to do that. Well, that they feel like they have to do that, because it doesn't sound cool at all. No judgment. I am not judging. Anyway, she agreed and then got into his car. But instead of driving to a motel, Robert drove her to his house. No. Red flag. Cindy started to get a bit uneasy, as would I or any of us. That is weird, but she tried to stay calm. And then when they arrived, he pulled a gun on her. So Hansen drug her into his basement, where he chained her by the neck to a wooden support beam. But this wasn't just a basement. No, why would it just be a basement? This is a serial killer. So it was full of like mounted animals and a bunch of trophies from his hunt and kills. Yeah. Not creepy at all, just dead animals everywhere. The irony of it all, right? Just not knowing what this is going to lead up to. You're looking at all this weird like hunting stuff that he has around, not knowing what he wants to do to you. Terrifying. Yeah, so he liked to hunt animals and he liked to hunt women. He's a women hater. And to all you good guys out there, this is why women just can't trust men when, when they talk about like, what would you choose? Like a man in the woods or a bear in the woods? I feel like this is fitting for this story. It's why, that's why, I don't know. It's men like that, not men like you good ones though. We just don't know who you are because they look like good guys too. They're just not, and we don't know. And side note, look at all of these like serial killer, like you won't find, like it's like the tiniest percentage that are women. They're always men, and they're always killing women in most cases, and the giant majority of them. So sadly, Cindy was raped repeatedly. She was physically assaulted, and she was very much so degraded. She was kept naked and handcuffed and treated like prey. I mean, this pig taunted her, going back and forth from promising to let her go if she was good, and then cold, long silences that were like threatening. She said she didn't cry, that she just studied everything around her. The layout of the basement, things like his stutter, the weapons on the walls, even the smell of mildew, blood, cold metal, like she was studying it all. She just wanted to get away and be able to explain all of these little details, which is really smart. After hours of abuse, Hansen told her that he was going to take her to a cabin that he had in the woods. No thanks, I'll stay here and just watch a little TV, dear. You go ahead. There was no cabin, obviously. It was an isolated spot deep in the Alaskan bush where many women were taken before her, and he hunted them down like animals. Sometimes with a rifle, and sometimes with, it gives me the chills to say it every time, a bow and arrow. Ugh. She knew if she got in that plane that she would die. She's like, nope, I'm going to do whatever. Nope. He drove her to Merrill Field Airport, still handcuffed. She was barefoot and bruised, but still alert. Because what Robert liked to do was sedate the girls so that they're not like creating a ruckus in the airport, because that would be annoying that they want to escape, right? Like, how annoying, like, oh yeah, like she doesn't want to like go on this island and be hunted by me. Like, that's annoying. Pig. I don't know what on earth I did with my eyeliner. Oh, I had it in with my pens. That's where it should be. So as Robert was unloading equipment from the car, Cindy took this as her only chance. She jumped out of the backseat of the van and ran as fast as she could. A man called Robert Yount, a truck driver, saw Cindy. She was screaming, terrified, with chains, barefoot, and begging for help. The nice guy that this young man was, he took her to a motel, and when she was safely there, he called police to take over. Even after all of this crazy stuff that Cindy endured, she was not believed by the police right away. I swear this seems to always be the story. She told police Hansen's full name, where his house was, what the basement looked like, what his plane looked like, even gave the tail number to the plane, how he raped and tortured her, and how the weirdo tried to fly her out somewhere in the wilderness. Yeah, I would never have made fun of you before, Robert, but you deserve it. You deserve it. But the Anchorage PD initially believed Hansen as a respectable married man, business owner, and he denied everything, so they let him go. Because why not? He said he didn't do it, right? I mean, he was a businessman and he was married. He couldn't be a murderer, right? That never happens. Do better, Anchorage, Alaska. do better. I hope you have, like, after all these years. And then imagine 17-year-old little Cindy just sitting there, like, just in disbelief, but no one's believing her after all this stuff did happen to her and to a bunch of victims. Just so much worse happened to victims before her. And, you know, just because of what she was doing, because she was a sex worker. So she was, like, frowned upon. You know what I mean? Like, she's a human being too. Okay? Like, that doesn't mean that somebody should be treated this way or that those women should have been murdered. Because you know what? That's worse. That's worse than what they're doing. Like, sex working is like here, and then murdering is like it's all the way down to hell where you belong. That's traumatizing. That's just traumatizing. Poor Cindy. Like, I could just, like, imagine that, you know, the whole time she's escaping, she's thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I'm getting away and I'm going to tell the cops everything that this guy did and they're going to get him off the street so he can't hurt me or anybody else again, right? Like, that's what you would be thinking. So what a nightmare that you're not believed. Like, just because of, you know, what you're doing for work. Okay. And I know a lot of people think, you know, sex workers, they put themselves in harm's way. Why is there a harm's way? Why is there a harm's way? Maybe there shouldn't be a harm's way, right? Did anyone ever stop to think about that? So all that trauma, and no one believed her until someone did. And a side note, might I say what lashes can do? Look at that difference. Detective Glenn Floth with Alaska State Troopers believed her. He was already investigating the disappearances of many other women, most of them being sex workers and dancers. Cindy's account was the missing piece to the puzzle. Broke the case wide open. Leads. Floth pursued the case seriously. He took her seriously. He built a warrant and then soon found Hansen's rifle that matched the shell casings near the victims, a map of the 24 X's that showed the grave sites of the victims. Have I called him a pig yet? Pig. Jewelry from Cindy and other victims. Handcuffs, chains, and rape gear. Rape gear? Rape gear? I don't even want to know. And his plane, just as described by Cindy. Boop. The other victims of Robert Hansen sadly didn't survive. But based on forensic evidence, his confessions, Cindy Pollson's account, and psychological profiling, investigators pieced together what those women probably experienced. The details are deeply disturbing. They paint a picture of premeditated torture, psychological terror, and sadistic control. Here's what law enforcement and behavioral experts and Hansen himself revealed about what his other victims went through. Estimated 17 confirmed murders, over 30 sexual assaults. He said he chose his victims by who he thought would not be missed: sex workers, dancers, and runaways. And most of his victims followed the same disturbing timeline. They were lured or kidnapped from Anchorage's red light district. They were taken to his house where they were raped and held captive. They were transported to his private plane into the wilderness. And they were released into the wilderness barefoot and terrified. They were hunted down and murdered. They were sometimes buried and sometimes rot in the wilderness. So gross. It's even hard to say. So the victims were typically raped repeatedly, chained and sometimes blindfolded in Hansen's soundproof basement. He treated them like prey from the moment they were taken. Police found chains bolted to the support beams, a sleeping bag, torture devices, and rape tools in his basement. Again. What? I mean, this guy lied to them. You're just here for a few hours. Do what I say and I'll let you go home. Hansen would pack camping gear, a weapon and the victim, and sometimes sedated, always restrained, into his Piper Super Cub airplane. He flew to remote areas in Alaska, Nick Lake, Susitna Valley, I'm sorry, to the wilderness, no roads, and no witnesses. I mean, the women had no idea where they were, and they had no chance of being found. That's so scary. Like, I guess, like, once they got on the plane, Cindy was right. That's it. Like, what are you going to do at that point? Just, like, try to hide? That's terrifying. Terrifying. Hansen would sometimes untie the women and tell them to run and promise not to hurt them if they did. They did run desperately, barefoot, into the thick forest and brush and icy terrain. That's torture. Then Hansen would even give them a head start. Foul. You're foul. Gosh, this reminds me of the movie. I'm getting like that in my head again. What movie or movies were there? You guys got to help me out. Please tell me. I am going crazy. As you guys can tell from my other videos, if you have watched them, I can't do lip liner and chat. So I'm going to put this on real quick. He stalked them with a rifle and sometimes with a bow and arrow. That's pretty gross. That's disgusting. That's mental. And I guess those were the same weapons that he chose to kill moose and bears. Some victims were even thought to survive like hours or even days before he found and killed them. Robert. He shot at long range for some victims. Some victims were stabbed. One victim had arrow wounds. Their bodies were dumped like trash. Some buried, some were not. 'Cause whatever, right? Many had defensive wounds, like scratches and bruises and broken fingernails. You know, signs that the women were fighting for their lives. Their clothing were torn off or missing. Some victims were found miles into the wilderness, barefoot, with signs of prolonged exposure before death, which means they were running around for a while trying to live. One woman's remains suggested she was even hunted for 2 days. Hansen confessed that he saw his victims as less than human, as sluts. But you know what rapists are? Huh, Robert? They're sluts. Because that's all you're, like, thinking about. So, you know, that's what you are. And all rapists. You're sluts. Not the girl. You are. He believed that they needed punishment. He blamed his early rejection by women. Wah, wah, wah. Cry, cry, cry. Sob story. How sad. He blamed his acne scar face and his sexual inadequacy. That's not these girls' fault. He said the fantasy of revenge and hunting these women like animals gave him power he never had in real life. He admitted that the killings were not the climax, the hunt was. In Robert Hansen's confession tape, he said, "They ran because they were afraid, and I let them because it was fun." You're sick. Because only Cindy escaped, we can't know the exact words or final moments of the other victims. But through Hansen's confession and reports by forensics, we know enough to understand they were terrified. They fought, and they didn't deserve to be forgotten. Let's honor them by reminding the world that they were not just victims. They were real women with stories, stolen by a man who saw them as prey. Robert Hansen was arrested on October 27th in 1983. He confessed to 17 murders and 30 sexual assaults. And in a plea deal, he took the police to the grave sites of the women in exchange for avoiding the death penalty. So you should avoid the death penalty, but these women didn't. Your crime was horrendous. I don't understand. So he was convicted, as he should be, of multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, and assault. Sentenced to 461 years plus life, with no possibility of parole. He died in prison in 2014 at the age of 75 from natural causes. You know what's not natural, Robert? What you did. What you did to those women. Not natural. And straight out of Hansen's mouth. I didn't think anyone would miss them. It was like a game. The ultimate game. Thank you for watching, Gothic Hippie Goddesses. And I hope you really enjoyed this crazy, intense story. But more so the makeup. Like I said before, the products will be listed in the description for you. Please subscribe for more fun like this. I will also be doing some more intense makeups like cosplay, Halloween, fun stuff sprinkled in. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have a lot of fun together. Get to know you guys, you get to know me, yeah, so I hope you have such a beautiful day, beautiful night, and I will see you again next week. Bye.